Good morning, good afternoon, whatever it is, wherever you are. It's me again, Jen. Hello! And I'm coming to you again from my little COVID bubble. I'm feeling fine. Everything is great. Don't worry. I just don't want to spread my germs all over the world. So I'm hanging out in my own little space with my cats and my Kermit. So, a little bit different for everybody else out there, but I hope you're doing well and I hope everything's fine for you. We are, of course, looking at the Sakki Sakki tarot deck, which is a tarot deck that was gifted to me by the spouse of Tom Deadstuff, and he and she will both be out at the Arizona Renaissance Festival, and they will be selling some of his really cool things. So if you are healthy and you are happy and you are looking for something to do, go check that out. And these cards are supposed to be based on the Rider-Waite deck. We're going to compare, we're going to see. So here we go. This is the Five of Coins, or Five of Pentacles. I believe in a traditional Rider-Waite deck, it is pentacles rather than coins, but in the case of the Sakki Sakki, we have the coin representation on here. We'll get to this one and their headless people in a minute. So let's see what the Rider-Waite cards have for us in this one. We have obviously the two individuals outside here. The pentacles are represented in the stained glass. There are indeed five of them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it's hard to see, and it almost looks like it might just be the bottom of another star. It is the Roman numeral 5. So we do know that it is the Five of Pentacles. I will say, out of all of the traditional cards, this one is probably the most minimalist in its symbolism, and yet has a lot of really interesting depth to it. So I want to start with the biggest part of this, which is the stained glass. So the stained glass, in traditionally speaking, stained glass sort of represents looking at things from a more spiritual angle, from a different light sort of idea. It's being filtered because this is not just normal light. This is light coming through a piece of art. This is light coming through usually something, a spiritual piece of art, especially in the tarot. So it is kind of reminding us to look at things, look at the bigger picture, look at the way things would look from afar, from a deity perspective sort of thing. And in this case, it is looking down onto these two individuals who are, obviously there's snow on the ground, so it's cold, and she's kind of in this ragged sort of robe or blanket over her shoulders. This individual has crutches, and it looks like maybe he's got a lame foot. So all of these things kind of show they've come across tragedy. This card does not necessarily mean tragedy is forthcoming. I know a lot of times this card and the Tower cards start coming out and people start freaking out a little bit. They're like, whoa, bad things are happening. It does not necessarily mean that. You may be the person on the inside of this building who's there to offer assistance to somebody who is in need. It is a card of stability and or instability. It is a card of community in the sense of reaching out to those who may not be as fortunate as ourselves and looking at it in a way of, if I give to them karmically, I am getting back. So it is a card of a lot of karma. It is a card of returning to kind of that state of stewardship to one another. All of that energy is represented in this card. The other thing represented in this card is turning away that sort of gift from somebody else. So perhaps you have chosen, instead of taking in somebody or being taken in, I should say, by somebody, you've chosen to turn away their help because being taken in might have two meanings with that person. So they might help you, but the return they expect is kind of too great. So this is a card also to kind of look at, what is the gift you are being given? What is the help you are being given? Is it truly help, or is it going to cause you more dismay in the long run? Look at it that way. The thing I also like about this card is that it doesn't show the door of the church, because again, I think it is about finding that access point, either finding it in yourself or finding it in others. So I'm going to move to the Sakki Sakki card before I go too deep into this because there's a symbol on here that I want to look at very first. But we'll start with the name on the card. It does say 5 of coins very clearly. Coins and pentacles, same thing. Here's our headless people. We're going up here. There's also a Roman numeral 5 up at the top. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pentacles. In this case, they are on a bunch of stained glass windows instead of just one. It's a row of churches, or maybe it's a very large church. It's one of these omniplex crazy monster churches like on the corner near my house, or everybody's house, I feel like. But anyway, this one does have the door, but we'll get to the door in a second. I want to talk about the symbol down in the corner. This is another Mercury card. I've been pulling a ton of Mercury cards, I feel like. And again, we're still in the midst of Mercury retrograde. So the fact that we're pulling these cards is like, oh, maybe that's why. Maybe this is meant to be like, hey, by the way, these are some of the things you want to look at during Mercury retrograde, which is like, how are you struggling along? And are you really struggling, or do you just need to go back and look at how things are? Especially with coins, this has to do with material things, that has to do with the earth, the tangible, the bodily, all of that kind of stuff. In my case, especially probably the bodily. So the doors on this one are open, but the people are facing away. Okay, well, their bodies are facing away. I have no idea what their heads are doing because they don't have any. But their bodies are facing away. Did they just come from this and receive what they needed and are on their way? Or are they turning away again from that help because it really isn't as helpful as it could be? There's too many strings attached kind of thing. I love that the stained glass aspect of this is also almost conveyed to the street as well that they're walking on. It could be cobbles, but it really is indicative of like more the mosaic sort of stained glass art. I also like that you can really see the stormy sort of weather that's happening. It's not just snowing. You can see the struggle, the mountains in the background, the black ink sort of clouds up in the sky. There's a lot of strife. There's a lot of thought in this card. While yes, it is a card that should be of stability, it's also that struggle of like, what do I do with the stability I have? How do I retain the stability I have? Especially during Mercury retrograde. Is there anything that I have to be worried about? Things you want to kind of look back on and go, did I cross all the T's and dot all the I's? That's the big one with Mercury. So I really like both of these cards. I think that the Sakki Sakki card does a really good job of sticking to the prominent imagery of this while also adding some of its own with some deeper kind of meaning of its own to add in the way that the Sakki Sakki deck has done actually a really good job of. I'm kind of amazed by this deck. As artsy and abstract as it is, it's got a lot of intuitive things going on. So I really recommend checking out this deck. In any case, until next time, stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy, and I see you again very soon. Bye!